The 2-2. Strike three. Posada down looking. And he does not like the call, and he points that out to Dana Demuth, and he gets thrown out of the game. Now the Yankees are down to their last catcher. And you see Robbie Thompson is trying to calm down Posada. But that is not a smart ejection for Jorge Posada.
Well, you love Jorge Posada and his fire and his competitiveness, but you're right, Michael, this is not a smart play. Arguing with home plate umpire Dana Demuth. Joe Girardi's going to finish up the conversation on what Jorge said, how the conversation went. We get another look at the last pitch. It's off the plate, not a strike. Like I said, you love the fire of Jorge Posada, but not a smart play there.
And Volstad throws behind him. He's charging the mound. Morgan's coming after him, and the Marlins are pummeling him. Oh, goodness. Morgan at the bottom of the pile. Both benches empty. Nigel Morgan went after Chris Volstad. I think Gabby Sanchez got a big piece of him.
Gabby got a good piece of him. He went after Chris Volstad. Volstad stood his ground. And the rest of the Washington Nationals can thank Nigel Morgan for everything that just happened. He's their teammate.
The Marlins and the Nationals, most everybody is playing peacemaker.
This guy has some serious problems. If Major League Baseball doesn't do something about Nigel Morgan, then they're coming up short.
And what Morgan has left on the field are two teams that, you know, in their history, Tommy, the Nationals and the Marlins really have never had anything like this happen. And let's hope that both sides can simmer down now that Morgan is off the field and get back to playing baseball.
Now, right now, Nigel Morgan has some issues. And the Washington Nationals have some issues in dealing with him. Major League Baseball has some issues in dealing with Nigel Morgan.
Jim Riggleman and Edwin Rodriguez going at it a little bit right now.
Now remember, after the first hit, when Volstad hit Morgan, there was not, as far as I saw, a warning issue. Riggleman trying to get everybody on his team off the field. The umpire's trying to clear the clutter in the infield.
Look at the managers are about nose to nose to go at it right now.
Edwin's fired up too, and I don't blame him.
Here comes Morgan,
and Chris stays right there. He takes a punch, sidesteps, and here comes Gabby.
And Volstad ends up on top of Morgan. Pat Listash is all over the Marlins starting pitcher. That's a coach that is on Volstad.
That should not be. The coaches usually have to restrain themselves and pull players off other players and be peacemakers.
Gabby gets hit. And if there was a warning...
Now, what do you think?
I think he's been ejected. I think Slayton has been ejected.
Well, he should be, because that was intentional. You know, whatever they say. Okay, that's okay if they feel that way. At least all Gabby was doing was protecting his teammate. Yeah, I guess it just slipped out. I just lost control a little bit.
I mean, them's the rules. If you get warned and the umpire feels you hit a guy, I mean, I think you want to stop this right now.
Yeah, Riggleman's got to go too. Riggleman's got to go too.
Now see, Gabby took his base. Here comes Storen. And so Riggleman is gone.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Think about this. Go to the commercial. I got a good thought. I can't wait for this thing.
2 with the bases loaded and 1 out.
He swung at that.
He swung at it. They're going to get to first base.
He's asking, oh.
Yeah, Chip Tracy's got to come out.
Yeah.
They checked at first base with Bill Hahn. It's a hit by pitch and a run scored. And if you swing at a pitch that hits you, it is a strike. It is not a hit batter. And Chip Tracy's going to argue. I don't know how he can win this because the first base umpire already made a ruling on it.
It looked like Bill Hahn down at first base was going to call it a strike, and all of a sudden he said no. He swung at the ball. You can read Jim Tracy's lips. Bill Hahn shaking his head no that he didn't swing. Jim Tracy's going to be careful. Yeah, he just got tossed.
That's an enormous play because now you have Jimmy Rollins up the top of the order, speed, and it's a 6-3 game. You make the call. If you determine that he broke the plane with the bat, and on that angle, I don't think he did, huh?
This will give us a good look. See if that bat goes right to that area. More look from the Hyundai cam to see where that barrel goes. Got him right on that right hand on the fingers.
Health in September. Grounder to short. How many can they get here? 1, and Casilla doesn't get an out at second. And now Ron Gardenhire's going to vehemently argue this one with Joe West making the call at second base that no outs are recorded.
The exchange right there. Casilla he lost the ball through the exchange, and this is the second time that Ron Gardenhire and Joe West have had a conversation. Watch his slow right there. The ball's in his glove, and then in the exchange.
That's a terrible call.
Yeah. That's not right there because Joe West is watching. You can see he drops the ball, taking the ball out of the glove.
Well, there have been misplays at second base and around the second base bag all night long. And without excusing Casilla for not turning the double play, clearly 1 out should have been recorded.
Well, you see Joe West throwing out Ron Gardenhire, and you know Joe West missed the call, and Ron Gardenhire gets thrown out. But it'll be an error on Casilla.
And now more discourse from the Twins dugout, or they're waiting perhaps for Ron Gardenhire to actually leave the dugout. We can't tell. That's what the delay was.
The pitch. Strike 3. And Bautista is barking. How does he not get thrown out? He's obviously arguing and strikes some balls, and he is thrown out. I mean, Ed Hickox let him get away with a lot. He's really barking.
Bautista was talking to hold the bat. He didn't like the 2-1 slider that was maybe borderline up. We'll take a look at It's a ball.
Well, he's got a lot to argue about, but you're not supposed to argue balls and strikes. So he gets tossed out. Now Cito Gaston, the manager of the Blue Jays, takes over the argument. Let's look at the pitch-by-pitch to Bautista, brought to you by Suzuki Kizashi.
Look how Java Chamberlain attacked. A little first pitch slider, ball one, pretty close pitch. Fastball for a strike. Fastball up and away, ball two. Here's the 2-1 slider. He gets the call for strike two. Fastball down, ball three. And then a 3-2 slider off the plate. Java Chamberlain gets the call.
That missed outside. Jurgens turned from the umpire, walked behind the mound.
He's probably thinking one of those has to be a strike. And Doug Eddings letting Bobby Cox know where that pitch was.
I'm not going to hear from you. Are you just going to go in the dugout?
See, he's right. It's that far outside.
It's outside.
And he just threw somebody out. And I'm not sure if it was Bobby Cox or somebody else. I think he threw Chipper Jones out. He did throw Chipper Jones out.
Up the middle, Cabrera. He didn't. He says he touched the bag. Hunter Wendelstedt said, no, you didn't. You didn't have ball and bag at the same time. Here comes Manny Acta.
Well, I would think that Cabrera must have thought he did touch the base, because he didn't look like he was going to make any effort to throw the ball to first. Take another look at it.
Looks like he got it.
It looks like he got it. Just kicked the side of the
bag. It was very subtle. He did get it. Let's see. Here's an even better look.
Take another look at it.
Ball, back foot. Oh, he got it. See his foot move?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Mariners catch a break.
He clearly got it, because we can see his foot change direction.
In the meantime, that'll be an infield hit for Ichiro.
I know that's in a 30th of a second when we slow things down, and now home plate umpire and crew chief Jerry Lane, and now he's gone. Manny appealing to Jerry Lane. No satisfaction here. Hunter Wendelstedt.
It looked it looked like he was done with Hunter Wendelstedt, and then Jerry Lane walks out. He turns around and he looks at Jerry Lane, and then Hunter Wendelstedt throws him out of the ball game.
Boy, I'd like to hear. Looked like he's saying, I wasn't even talking to you. Yeah, now he's saying, you spit on me? Oh, this is getting personal now. Did you see what he did? I sort of get where Manny's coming from. I was talking to you, Jerry.
Right, exactly.
I wasn't talking to you. I asked, Hunter Wendelstedt heard a question that Manny poses to Jerry. He wasn't trying to, it appears that he wasn't trying to diss him. I mean, if you just go by body language, and it looked like a little bit of a short fuse for Hunter Wendelstedt, who's been an umpiring. His dad, Harry, was a long time umpire in the National League.
Well, Manny certainly isn't going to be happy when he walks back up into his office and sees the replay.
Bet.
I don't know what he could have asked Jerry Lane, the home plate umpire, to get thrown out of the game by Hunter, because he had already had his exchange with Hunter.
It was done,
and he had a good distance away from him when he turned around. And the only reason why he asked Jerry anything is because Jerry walked out past the mound, and then he looked at Jerry and asked him something, and I don't know what that was, but then Hunter Wendelstedt tossed him out of the game.
I mean, it could have been something as innocuous as, Jerry, what did you see? Wendelstedt takes the heat. You're done. See you later.
Tying Giovanni Gallardo for the club lead. On the ground, Lopez to Green. The turn is in time. A double play, no RBI for Narveson. A run scores, And it's 3-0 Brewers.
Somewhat of a slow developing double play, I think. Felipe Lopez.
Well, hang on a second here, partner. They're going to say Craig Counsell could not reach second base, and they are going to return Jonathan Lucroy to third, so no run scoring. They're going to call interference on the play from Craig Counsell.
How many times is that called? You got to be kidding me. He's trying to make up something out there. And Tim Timmons, the second base umpire. All you have to do is be able to touch the bag with some part of your body. Tim Timmons calling Craig Counsell out of the baseline. So, yeah, interference results in a runner going back to third base. That might not have been a bad call, actually.
Now, by the letter of the rule, you have to be able to touch the base. Counsell made no attempt at the base.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's why it was called, because he did not at least make an effort to grab second base.
Now Maka looks like he wants to get tossed here tonight. Haven't seen Maka this animated all season, and there he goes. Maka was calm when he went out, but something Timmons said set him off. And out he goes. So the Brewers manager is ejected. We appreciate Bruce coming in. It's always good to have the perspective of an umpire in the booth. We're lucky to have Bruce do that with us. As you see the play again. And the crowd is riled up because Bob Davidson and Tony La Russa are going at it. Matter of fact, Bob Davidson has ejected somebody on that bench. I'm not sure who, but La Russa wants an explanation. And much like last night when Tim Cheetah ripped the mask off and wasn't going to take any more, Bob Davidson runs a Cardinal.
It might be Dave Duncan, the pitching coach, thinking that the last pitch that Kyle Lowe's threw was pretty good.
There's Duncan down in the corner of your screen.
Dave Duncan. Let's see if he's the one chirping. Looks like he's flapping his lips a bit. Bob Davidson doesn't take much guff. He's got a short fuse.
Strike called inside corner. Dickerson is gone. He is now ejected. Boy, Bob Davidson is not messing around tonight. Dickerson will join his manager in the clubhouse. And Willie Randolph is going to need a new center fielder. Bob Davidson with the quick hook. And the inning ends, but Casey McGee drives in a pair. Dickerson rung up and tossed out.
(3-2) and got him. A low strike on the outside corner. Strikeout of Holliday, and Holliday has been tossed. A look at the Pujols home run as we had to break, but Matt Holliday has been ejected from this game. Not sure if Holliday said an awful lot, but let's get a look at his reaction. It looked to be a ball too.
Well, definitely it's a ball away. He gets rung out. Remember, he had trouble with inside pitches. Now watch, walked away and everything like this, and you know, I mean, he's 10 feet away. He's not, he's through with the arguing. He's not even arguing. He's 10-15 feet away from him, and a weak display by another home plate umpire.
The ball up, he makes you pay. And that's the other thing he doesn't do. The umpire misses a strike call because he's got a short strike zone, and you had two given it. You had a backup guy to bail him out, and it didn't happen.
Jim Reynolds at first said he didn't go. Bobby Cox has his hat off in the dugout.
Yeah,
and he just...
These guys might be trigger happy tonight.
He just got tossed.
I think Terry got tossed.
The motion was made toward the Atlanta dugout. Let's see who it is.
get the head back into the field and just do your job. I mean, too many guys. I mean, I get it. We all get heated. But does he have to wave his hand and go bye-bye? I don't think so. Yeah, I think Terry Pendleton got it, and, you know, rightfully I'd be mad too. And this game's important for everybody. I mean, you know, people don't want to come see the umpires all the time.
Taken on the inside corner, and Kinsler. A parting comment for Dale Scott.
Be careful.
He's tossed. Just tossed him.
Yeah, you can't do that in this game. Staying in the game is more important.
Now Herman might be needed in the field if the game continues. Kinsler basically took the bait right there. It's like Scott was daring him to say one more word, and he said it.
You know, he gave him a chance to say what he needed to say, and Ian said it. You know, I don't blame him for being upset. The ball's not a strike. But then when he turned around again, that's when he threw him out.
Blanco with good speed, and they throw to first, and now having a balk called, and they call another balk. And this time, Ozzy's going to get thrown out of this game. Well, he did. And that one looked like it was called
Angel again.
Perhaps
or
by Joe West.
Yeah.
Don't know for sure, but Ozzy is beside himself.
Yeah, different umpires have different responsibilities. And again, if you're behind the dish, you've got a big one calling balls and strikes. So taking it upon yourself to look at balks or look at other things, the guys has got a little bit of a legitimate gripe here.
Well, Ozzy's getting his money's worth. You can certainly say that. And now Joe West is coming ambling in from third base.
That might be a mistake.
Ozzy's going to yell at Joe a little bit.
Exactly.
These have been two very big balk calls. The first one turned into a run. And now you've got Blanco at second base.
Fastest guy on their team with no outs.
So we'll watch Mark Burley. And it's Angel Hernandez again.
Again, you've got a question because he doesn't call it right away, so there may be something else going on here where he's not trusting himself on the call. You look at Dan Bellino. He's fine with it.
On that angle, it does not appear that Mark Burley's leg or knee was in back of the rubber.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what Angel Hernandez pointed to. That's the second balk on Burley.
Glad you looked it up. That's a walk to Blake. No, it isn't. He thought it was. Strike three. 2 outs.
Last night, the home plate umpire, Bruce Drexman, who's down at third tonight, had a pretty tight zone. We'll see how it goes tonight. But Wandy's slotting this one over the outside corner, maybe a hair off, but a good pitcher's pitch and one that you probably should be thinking about taking a whack at with a couple of strikes. Blake with a big leg kick.
There's some yelling from that dugout. That has distracted Paul Emmel. And he may be tossing somebody. Yeah, he's saying that's it. Okay, there we go. Somebody just got tossed.
Somebody wanted the night off.
Joe Torre coming out. He may not have been tossed.
He might have dinner reservations at Damien's. Be a solid veteran move by Joe.
That might be worth it.
All right, fellas, I'm on my way.
Well, it looks like Joe was tossed.
Joe has not announced his intentions about managing beyond this year, and he says he wants to wait until the Dodgers are eliminated, if they are. And they're 10 games back right now in 4th place coming into today. Actually 10.5 at the moment because the Padres won today. 1-0, so that announcement probably will be coming soon. But he still has a little fire left, as you can tell here.
In Atlanta today, it's Bobby Cox and Tony La Russa going toe-to-toe. And they're making a little history in that series. It's the first time in baseball history that managers who have combined for more than 5,000 career wins have managed against each other.
Well, Joe is definitely making a point here with Paul Emmel before departing.
Outside corner, bat, helmet, frustrated, hand hurting. Being stared down by Jerry Davis. Mr. Davis, that was about his hand, and he just threw him out. Mark's hand was bothering him. We've been with him. We're going to stay here for just a moment. Mark hot, fired up. We know Mark well enough. We see him every day. We'll take a look at it when we come back. But he was more frustrated with that hand hurting than with any call of a ball or a strike. If anybody's used to striking out, it's Mark. So, look, the home plate umpire, Jerry Davis, is not expected to know that Mark is hurting and his hand really is bothering him. It's cost him to miss a couple of games. He's not expected to know that. But I'm telling you, Tom, that's why he did this. This is a guy that strikes out 200 times a season. He does not get thrown out. He doesn't argue. And Davis follows him all the way back, finally gets his attention, and when he engages Mark, he then runs it.
Yeah, it wasn't about the arguing. It was about the way he threw his helmet down. I mean, he slammed the helmet down right there, and umpires are going to interpret that as showing them up. Watch the pitch. It's a borderline pitch away. He rings him up, drops the bat. Then it was the helmet toss, and that's what did it. And then Mark was walking away. He's not arguing. He's nothing. He's perturbed because his hand hurts. He's walking back, minding his own business, and then Jerry Davis rung him.
Strike 3 call right to the outside corner, and Barton is chewing hard on Hunter Wendelstedt, who threw him out, even though the game's over. So Papelbon strikes out the side in the bottom of the 9th inning, and he gets the save, and the Red Sox come back from a 3-0 deficit, and they win the game this afternoon by a final score of 5-3. So the A's were cruising along with that 3-0 lead behind Dallas Braden, but this is how the game came to an end.
Well, if you remember the last event,
stand-up guy. Apparently after the game was over, there's another walk. So back-to-back walks, and Dusty Baker says that's it. 8 balls, 1 strike from Jordan Smith. And he will be taken out of the game without recording a single out. So will be our skyline call to the bullpen. Bill Bray comes on. Arizona trailing by 4 with 2 on and nobody out.
Home plate umpire John Hirschbeck on the way out, arguing balls and strikes, and eventually Hirschbeck says, go ahead and take a seat, go take a shower. And he said the magic word, and that was it. So Jordan Smith in his young major league career has reached 1 milestone tonight, being ejected from the ball game. And I'll tell you what, he's got a lot to learn.
And Crawford is called out on strikes, and he is really upset. Joe Maddon's going to come out to try. Oh, Crawford has just been ejected. Crawford called out on strikes, and Hallian has ejected him. Madden couldn't get there in time, and Crawford upset that as you pointed out, Kevin, the whole nature of the at-bat was turned around.
Yeah, the low pitch he hasn't called all night for both sides. He did on Carl Crawford right here after calling a pitch high out of the zone. Now, Fox strike shows that was a strike, but we've seen 6 or 7 that have been strikes all night that should have been called and haven't been.
Qualls on with 1 out in the 7th. And he hits Jeter. Jeter leaning in as if to bunt, and Qualls is saying, hey, that hit the bat. And the Rays are going to argue that that should be an attempt at a bunt, and Madden wants Pena to pick it up and go to first and flip it down there and tag the bag. Zobrist, as the Rays think that ball is in play.
Yeah, there's a no call out there right now. I mean, Jeter reacted so quickly that as if he got hit. Take another look from the center field shot right here. It looked like it got the knob of the bat. You know what? It got the knob of the bat, I think.
I think it did.
Yeah, it got the knob of the bat. It's a fair ball, and the Rays were right. Look at this.
Yep.
Freeze it.
It hit the knob.
Freeze it.
And you could hear it.
That's a shame. This is my contention where you should have one challenge. I talk about replay coming to the infield. One challenge.
Yeah.
It's a big play in this game.
Hallian didn't want to hear anything from Madden. The Jeter should be out. It hit the knob of the bat.
Yeah,
we'll
there's no doubt about it.
And to listen, and you can see it hit the knob of the bat.
Yeah, Jeter brings his hands way up as if to bunt. And you would think one of the 4 umpires would have seen that.
And if they didn't see it, they could certainly hear it.
You can certainly hear it at home plate. I'm telling you, being a catcher, yeah, naturally you're going to throw Joe out. You missed the call, and you're going to throw Joe out. There you go. That's big of you. Check the replay tonight, guys. Let's get it right once in a while, especially in a big game.
Yeah, you've got a division lead on the line in a 1-run game. And they fell for Jeter's thespian act.
Jeter's not rubbing anything right now, is he, over there? He's not hurting at first base.
And you can't blame Madden. They just out and out missed the call.
Yeah, Jeter's not rubbing anything. If he got hit, he'd be, I tell you what, he'd be icing that wrist down right now if he got hit.
Here it is.
Brings his hands up. Knob of the bat, right off the knob and right back into fair territory. Right there. Right there. How about that?
Well, it's an 8-2 ball game, and the frustrations for Jim Leyland boiling over in this one. He has come out here in between innings and has just gotten to the face of Jerry Lane, and Leyland arguing strongly, and now he's going to chase Jerry Lane. He's already been thrown out of this game. Leyland came out between innings and got right to the home plate umpire, who ejected him.
Well, this is more than likely what he's talking about right now. This would have been strike 3 against Michael Young. Of course, Michael Young went on to hit a sacrifice fly before the Murphy 3-run home run.
And Leyland now is jawing at Brian Runge, who was last night's home plate umpire.
There was also a call last night when Ian Kinsler was in the batter's box, and it appeared to be a ball that Weinhardt threw right down the heart of the plate, and Ian Kinsler was walking back to the dugout, and it was called a ball.
Yeah, it didn't appear. That thing was right down the middle.
And then he came back and got a base hit and drove in a run.
That must have missed outside. Bill Hahn with the balls and strikes, hearing it from the Braves dugout. Hahn with the mask off, couple of steps over toward the dugout. Doesn't want to hear it. And somebody just got thrown out of the ball game. Bobby Cox is on his way out, but it might have been Tim Hudson who got ejected from this game. Right on the top rail was gesturing, and Bill Hahn 3 steps threw somebody out of the game, and now Bobby Cox has to be careful. Unless he was the man already tossed. So Bobby Cox now making his way down to the other end of the dugout. It might have been Bobby Cox who was tossed.
Wow, that's a pretty quick hook right there.
So apparently it is Bobby Cox and not Tim Hudson who has run from the game. And Chino Katahia, Braves bench coach, will handle the lineup card now.
And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes to him. Try to check his swing. They appeal. He went around, says Angel Hernandez. And Victorino just slammed his helmet. That'll be an equipment fine. Hernandez just pointed to him, and now he's out of the ball game. Victorino was just thrown out of the game. I don't know if he realizes it or not. Here comes Charlie Manuel. Charlie's walking out. And now Victorino shoves away Tim Cheetah and goes over to Angel Hernandez. He has to be careful. He's been thrown out of the ball game, and that means the Phillies have to make a move, and they've lost their leadoff hitter for the rest of this ball game.
No, there's no reason, though, I don't think, to throw him out. You get fined for throwing. Now, that's a check swing. Don't think he went on that. Now he says he goes. That's awful.
We go to the 7th. It's 4-3 Washington.
So there are moments throughout a season that can, make or break a team.
Towering fly ball to left center field. And it's caught out there by Rajay Davis. Now he dropped the ball. Young will reach. Tomey stands at first. And here comes Bob Guerin. And to be honest with you, I averted my eyes, and they're going to have a discussion here. What we may have here is the replay of the Denard Span play in Detroit, although that was a play when Span was on the dead run.
Yeah, Ron Gardenhire's coming out too.
Bob Guerin, Ron Gardenhire, and the 4 umpires in some combination are going to discuss this.
Well, the ball just kept drifting on him. You can see where his shadow is. It's tough in that sun, but in the exchange, and we saw it with Denard Span, right here, he's got it in his glove, but then drops the ball.
That is the very same play we saw in Detroit early in the season. And I'll bet you any amount of money that's part of the discussion for Ron Gardenhire right now. Is that, hey, we had that same play and we didn't get the call. And for a while, the Tigers thought that play turned their season around because they took off from that game and played really good baseball for 3 weeks.
Unless they, why is Gardy out there explaining that if they said it was a no catch and Delman is safe at second?
And of course, it's a different umpiring crew.
Right, but I don't quite understand why Gardy's out there if the runner's at second.
Well, I think they have overruled the call. And Wally Bell signaled that he wanted to discuss the play. What's going to be curious here is the placement of the runners.
Right. That's I guess
if they've overruled and now said that it was a catch.
It's not. It could still be a force out at second, but Gardy's getting thrown out. John Hirschbeck, the crew chief, throwing Ron Gardenhire out. And we'll find out where the runners are right now. The throw was to second base of Delman Young.
I think they're going to call a double play. Base. I'm afraid they may call a double play.
Well, right here, it is a force out at second base. Delman Young.
No, and now Tomey's being sent off. They're going to call a double play instead of first and second with nobody out because Young saw the signal from the umpire was a live ball. He advanced to second, and he's been doubled off.
Are they calling Delman out because he didn't tag up?
Yeah.
No need to panic.
That is a fair ball to third base. Cabrera scores. Here comes Peralta. They're going to wave him home, and now it's been ruled touched down the line, so send Peralta back to third base. Wells will get a double and an RBI. That probably cost the Tigers a run there. Jim Leland arguing perhaps that he would have scored anyway. Wells gets an RBI double.
Much more patient at bat here by Casper after swinging at the first pitch that was down. He basically told himself, you know, I got to get jammed here. I got to make sure I get a ball that I can hit somewhere aggressively. And he did that, and he ends up with a double and an RBI.
It looks like they're going to give him the second run. And Ron Gardenhire is not too happy about this. So Peralta scores as well. And the Tigers lead 5-0. Pitching change for Gardenhire. We'll step aside. We're in the bottom of the 6th. Run scoring on that play. Ron Gardenhire chatting with Tim Timmons about the call on that play.
So what's the rule? Did Casper get a triple there?
Well, apparently they're calling it a 3-base hit.
I don't think I've ever seen a ball hit down the left field line like that where a guy gets a triple.
No, and especially since they originally called Peralta back to third base.
And Delman Young had his hands up as soon as the fan touched the ball.
Well,
good for Jim, though.
That's a strange call.
Good for Jim.
Maharis is the new pitcher.
He has missed some time this year, but he is back, and they're hoping that he can get back to top form to help them in the postseason.
Got an ejection now. Ron Gardenhire has just been thrown out of the game, apparently, or maybe one of his coaches. Timmons turned around, looked into the bench, and said, "You're gone." Ron Gardenhire is hot. Here comes Tim Cheater now from the third baseline, and he's going to get an earful. Well, I got to be honest, I don't know how they could give Wells a triple there and score that second run.
That's why he got tossed. He's not happy about it, and he let them know.
Every time to try to get some consistency, but when you're hitting the 220s coming into play, maybe it's time to change your pre-swing routine.
Oh, we had a delay before starting the bottom of the 4th because of a long and increasingly heated chat between Tony La Russa and Joe West. This thing went on for a good 2.5 minutes. I doubt Tony is upset at Joe that he didn't send him his latest CD.
2-0, and this one hits it. They got the ump too, and Simon has been tossed. Alfredo Simon tossed from this game. Buck Showalter has to go to the pen. And after being hit by a pitch in his last plate appearance, Bautista hit again, this time by Simon, and Simon gets the heave-ho. Not much of an argument from anybody, really. I mean, Simon didn't really contest it. Buck Showalter makes a slow walkout now, more for the pitching change than anything else.
No, the catcher had set up outside, and none of this makes any sense. I mean, sometimes you just have to go off the way it looks. And, of course, he's most certainly worn out this Orioles staff twice in a row.
owns a 2.25 earned run average in the National League coming into this year. Over in the AL in 415 games, he amassed almost 500 innings pitched. I don't know what.
Has Jim been tossed?
I'm not sure.
Well, the umpire's writing something down. Gary Cederstrom has evidently tossed Jim Riggleman.
Now here's a look at the pitch. 0-1. Ball gets part of the plate. No doubt. Jim pulling so hard for his players.
J.P. Arancibia. Off the end of the bat, dribbled up the first base line. Sabathia over, throws, hits Arancibia, and Mark Carlson calls him out. Mark Carlson was following Arancibia right up the base path. And Arancibia was outside the running lane when the ball hit him. And Cito Gaston again going to come out and have a conversation with the home plate umpire.
Mark Teixeira, the first baseman, was all over that one. He just couldn't see the ball because Arancibia was inside that line. Cito Gaston is going to want to ask him, now, are you sure you saw it that way?
And Cito Gaston talking about, well, he's got to run up the first baseline. Carlson, to his credit, followed the base runner. Watch where the umpire goes.
Comes right out of his crouch behind home plate, and that's a good call.
Boy, you cannot fault an umpire. Look at where Carlson is right here. He has a clear shot, and Arancibia was outside of the running lane. And now, as we have watched the replays, evidently Cito Gaston has been ejected.
Three very close plays in the last inning have all been called correctly by the umpire, but it have gone against the Blue Jays. The ball down the left field line by Hill, clearly fouled. Looked like it could have been fair. The play at the plate, and now this one to start the sixth inning.
Well, Cito Gaston has been ejected from the game.
And strike three call. Fastball, 1-2-3. We go to the bottom of the fifth. Oh, Joe West has just kicked Lugo out of the game. Lugo's been ejected. The Rays lead 3-0. And the Orioles are down one infielder. Julio Lugo ejected after he was called out on strikes in the top of the fifth.
Well, that's a good pitch. I don't know what Lugo's arguing about. That had plenty of the play. Once you slam your helmet down, drop your bat, flip your gloves back toward the umpire, you're out of the game on Joe West. Forget about it. That is called showing the umpire up. That's what that is. Joe West would never take that.
Got him on the outside corner. It stays 4-0, and we're back after a word from your local Fox station. Bochy has been ejected from this game. He argued that strike call that Mike Everett put on Buster Posey, and it escalated. And Mike Everett said, see ya.
It gets a little testy this time of year. Bruce Bochy trying to light a fire under his ball club.
Just about to ask you that. Is that maybe by design?
Oh, I don't think there's any question. His team has only gotten one hit.
This is what he was upset about. He did not think that was a strike.
And the hitter in me, the former hitter in me, thinks that ball's a little bit outside.
Because of what happened in the first two games of that series. Wes Helms, left field. That's deep.
West.
Tabata off the wall. No, it's gone. A home run. Angel Hernandez says it's out. Helms is trotting around the bases. That one was right on the side of the wall. And the Pirates may have this one reviewed. John Russell is coming out. Angel Hernandez was down the line and made the call.
It was hard to tell at what point did it hit. Did it hit to the left of where it says Marlins? Regardless, Dan Ugglas scores, so it'll be his 100th run scored. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
That's not a home run.
Unless it hits something on the way down. If it hits the wall outside the wall on the way down, it's a homer. But you're right, it hit the side of the wall, and if it comes clean down onto the field,
I think they're going to go. Did it hit in here?
Yeah,
you got to go to second. Yeah, lower wall. That ball's a home run, easy. Think of many other ballparks in the league where that's a home run.
Gabby trots out to third. Edwin's going to come out. Now remember, he can't argue. He can get an explanation. And I think what they're talking about now is where the runner from first goes. Sometimes it's umpire's discretion, but I think in this case with the Gabby, they're just going to place him at third and Wes at second.
That's a good question because it's not a ground rule double. It's not bouncing over the fence where the runner from first could only go to third. So that's a good point that Edwin's making right here. How do you just say that he can go from first to third? That ball came back down. It's in the left field corner. However, the left fielder, Tabata, was there to pick it as soon as it came off the wall.
You know, the fact that there's 2 outs, Gabby got a good jump at first base. So Helms is at second. Gabby's at first. Davis is going to be the hitter.
Go buy a Gold Pass and get a free upgrade to Platinum.
Now Edwin.
See, look at this ball goes quite away from Tabata. And that's Edwin's argument. 2 outs. Gabby was on the move. The ball trickles quite away from Tabata in left field. He should be able to score because the ball stayed in the ballpark. It didn't bounce out. And Edwin's been tossed from the game by Joe West. Now he's getting his money's worth with Angel Hernandez. And that's what Edwin's arguing. That other run should have scored.
Yeah, you cannot dispute an overturned call, whether it's a homer or a double. But obviously what Edwin is talking about is the placement of the runner from first base.
And there were 2 out. And I think if there was 1 out, you wouldn't have the same argument.